A few cars and trucks still frozen in place. And now the money earmarked to support this protest, frozen as well.
This court injunction freezes the money in the bank accounts of all of the organizers.
It's called a Mareva injunction, a court order that freezes assets filed without first notifying the defendant. A rarely used legal maneuver, and lawyers say for the first time in Canada, it's being used to target cryptocurrency. That's encrypted funds held in a digital wallet.
If your truck is being used in these protests, your bank account will be frozen and your insurance will be suspended.
This is different from the financial restrictions announced as part of the Emergencies Act earlier this week. The intent here is to keep money on hold for Ottawa residents who are suing the protesters.
This is an order in the context of this class action, which is intended to get damages for the benefit of the residents of Ottawa, the businesses of Ottawa, employees.
Lawyers estimate the injunction puts a hold on more than $10 million, including the $8 million donated through GiveSendGo and about $1.2 million in Bitcoin. After GoFundMe shut down donations, some organizers pushed donations through cryptocurrency. Organizer Pat King even announced a convoy Bitcoin.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the launch of the Freedom Convoy token.
But experts say cryptocurrency is even easier for law enforcement to track.
Blockchain is more traceable than bank accounts because it's an open public ledger. So anybody can look at the addresses and see where the transactions are coming from and going to.
The lawyer representing the convoy says he plans to challenge the court order, but with dozens of arrests, funding perhaps now the least of the convoy's legal worries. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
The police operation in Ottawa meant Parliament was shut down all day Friday due to security concerns. But tonight, Government House Leader Mark Holland said debate will resume on Saturday over the controversial decision to invoke the Emergencies Act for the very first time. Its impact already being felt, but the government still needs to get it passed. They've promised that will be done soon. Earlier, I spoke to Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton. Political viewpoints are so charged right now. Where do things go from here?
Yeah, so in the immediate, Ian, the politics, that conversation is going to shift back to the government's use of the Emergencies Act, something that the government has to legally justify to Canadians and to MPs. But there are, of course, some bigger questions here for politicians, for political parties. These protests have exposed a pretty significant fracture in society and really put it front and center. One that existed before the pandemic, certainly, but pandemic measures became kind of a lightning rod for deep discontent with government. And political parties have been using the protests and these issues to their own political advantage all the way back to the election, which you remember, and still now. The Liberals have pointed to some of the Conservatives who support the protest and welcomed it in spite of some of its hateful and extreme elements. The Conservatives have tried to make this about the Prime Minister's inaction and desire to divide Canadians with these COVID policies. So neither party is blameless in this. And while we hear plenty of calls for healing and unity, the politics always seems to overtake it. So in the coming days, it's going to be interesting to see whether politicians who also remain very entrenched in their positions can actually take this moment to send a broader message to the country about where we go from here.
All right, Rosemary, thank you.
Thanks.